the child
And again,
is
over
depressed.
something over a period
of time.
Right, that something is happening. in
Not
that
just,
movie.
you know, as a change or a week or a day or something like that. Well, if it's a week, I'll get worried.
Okay.
If the child is sleeping on all the time, late or not sleeping at all, sleeplessness.
Yeah. Yeah,
Is
either way.
also
That's another symptom.
Oh yes,
yes, another symptom
that
of depression.
happens. You
Yeah.
can't sleep, and then sometimes there's a spiral because not sleeping,
Yeah, that
not
sounds like
resting,
Mm-hmm.
it, start to create more problems because you're tired. You're more tired because you haven't slept.
Slept,
So
right.
things
A
can
vicious
keep
cycle.
until you start getting yourself back.
Thoughts
in
of
order.
death, thoughts of suicide, thoughts of death, thoughts of suicide, wanting to kill yourself. And people
Or
would say
wanting-
to you, why you don't go and kill yourself?
Yeah,
you
people
know?
say something.
You know?
Other friend said to me, one time, he was like, if I was you, I would have done kill myself already because I think he was a little frustrated with me not being happy and go-lucky all the time, and that was his reaction, angry reaction. I remember
Right.
one evening, I said,
So-
fortunately, I knew where that was coming from. I mean,
And you would already.
I started to
yourself,
realize, how things were, and then that is how,
Lack of concentration is another area. People
Not
can't
being able to
concentrate.
focus, not being able to
They're
focus
out of
on one thing.
focus. You have people who may have gone through a traumatic event and not dealt with it, seem to be doing well.
Like maybe
and then
passing of a
suddenly,
loved one.
after 3 months,
leaving an accident,
you
witnessing
see
something.
clinical depression at its highest level. An accident. I worry about things like the flight that went down the other day and the trauma that so many people who weren't even involved or probably didn't even know the people, but you hear of the incident and it impacts your spirit. It impacts your humanity, your humaneness.
So the incident, I think Vidya alluded to that, might not be something that you're directly, that affects you directly.
Right. But it has an impact. It affects you only that it has an impact. He was talking of a woman who saw
It was
an event
on TV and watching the news.
far away.
Right.
And what that might have done was triggered something that happened to her in life. And so it caused those things to come full face that she didn't deal with some years back. Or might have dealt with it, but not in a wholesome way.
Okay. Right now, as a Christian, I've heard other Christian people say that, people of faith should not be depressed. That, if you believe in God, then, you just pray and, everything,
And it's over
everything
and done
straightens
with.
out. What would you say to somebody who has that notion?
I'll say to them, they're dead wrong. They're dead wrong. You have to help the person change their way of thinking through some therapeutic action or set of activities like journaling and exercise, changing the diet, speaking to themselves, explaining, going back in time over experiences that they didn't deal with and need to deal with now to come to terms with who they really are. And how do I think around this? Maybe you can say to God, change my thoughts, and he'll change it. Don't know about that. You have to work on changing your thoughts because that's where it begins. It begins with the thought processes. And if you don't have that happy thinking thought, there's no way you're going to get healed.
Faith without works.
Exactly.
No pun intended.
You believe that God, we do believe that God is there to guide and protect and guard and, he said, ask and it shall be given. But you don't ask, give me $10,000 right now.
It's right there.
And it's there.
You have to go do something.
You have to do something. He'll show you how to do it, perhaps, or guide you and direct you. But you have to take some action and you have to think about your health, about the things that bothered you in your life, throughout your life, that you never dealt with, that you covered over with a blanket or a smile. You need to deal with it. You need to come right up face front with your issues. Deal with them, throw them away. Maybe blow them in. I have people blow things in a bag. Tie that bag and throw it in a garbage heap or burn it.
Symbolic.
A symbolic way of getting rid of the unwholesomeness in your body. Because you see, our bodies, we're born with it wholesome. It's the things that we put in that makes your body become unwholesome and sick. You eat something poisonous, you will vomit, diarrhea, or you just get fever or something. You put a bad thought into your mind, it will destroy your mind. It will destroy you. Because the body is wholesome, it doesn't want anything unwholesome in it. It rejects it. It throws it out. It throws it out in pain, in suicidal thoughts. It throws it out in diarrhea, fever, whatever. The body is a wholesome medium. And anytime you put anything bad in it, it will get rid of it or you.
Okay, all right.
I think, that question is as though people who have faith don't get cancer, don't get ill, or any other kind of illness. And if you look at depression is another kind of illness. Spirituality is important, though, and I think in the cognitive behavioral therapy. I know certainly for many people, and a friend and I were talking the other night about mindfulness. One of the things about depression is this, certainly in my own, is this thing about the here and now. Which is, I think, which is about, and there's a thing about meditation. Buddhists will talk about that. Is that the meditation is also something which there are neurological studies that show that meditation lights up certain parts of the brain to help with this. And there are many people who that works for them. But it's certainly not just handing it, in dealing with any kind of illness, you have to treat it and deal with it and deal with just your spirit as well as you deal with your mind and your body. But it's certainly one way of not dealing with people is to say that you're evil, that is why you're going this, or there's some, people talk about being demon possessed and all of that, and I think sometimes we go a little bit overboard. I don't think we cure anyone of the things that people go through in the name of this thing called, we have to be a little pragmatic. Right. Another thing I do know is I'm Hindu, and I know Swami Vivekananda, I was reading his letters and I talk about this. He's one of the most prominent Swamis. He crossed boundaries. He went from India to the US and addressed the Department of World Religions, and it was a hit in Chicago way back in 1883? Sometime. But when I read his letters, I realized that the man was seriously going through, because when the things he wrote to people, and some of his letters were translated, of course, but the things he was writing about and the way he was going about, I don't care anymore, I can die now, and that kind of
he was very likely.
Obviously, right. He's also diabetic, and I think we don't know the diabetes, and there's a link between depression. Especially I think there are links. There's links between so many illnesses.
I was about to ask. Can clinical depression, which is, for all intents and purposes, a disease of the mind, can that actually make you sick in your body? Can that?
Of course. Remember I said the body is wholesome? And any time you take in stuff, information that is unwholesome, and you leave it in there, the body does everything possible to get rid of it, if it's through making you depressed or sending you crazy. Okay, it doesn't want anything all wholesome in it. The body does not want bad thoughts.
Not even bad thoughts.
It doesn't want bad food. The World Bank and the World Health Organization, I think, recently did a study which shows that it's going to be the leading disability worldwide, depression. Yes. Okay, by 2020. Okay, depression would be, the second leading. Later on it will be the leading, but it would be the second leading disability worldwide. So we really have to take hold of this. You see all the suicides going around in this country, and we're not paying full attention to it. It's very worrying and painful. Sometimes I am with clients at 2 o'clock in the morning,
trying to stop them,
bringing them some health to their minds to not commit suicide. Somebody writes you a letter. They may not say, I'm going to kill myself or anything like that. But when you have a trained eye, you can look at the words they say and know it's suicidal, and you have to reach out immediately to save that person's life. Some people say, if they want to kill themselves, let them kill themselves. No. We're about helping each other and saving each other's lives. And depression leads to suicide quite often. or to body mutilation. You see a lot of our kids cutting up.
So this is not
Cutting
this,
their
this
bodies?
body mutilation, this cutting of
It's
skin.
body mutilation, and most of the kids are depressed.
So this is not just a fad.
It's
these
not a
people
fad.
are
It's not a
actually-
fad. It's a way of expression for young people who are confused, who are feeling out of order, who are feeling listless, who hopeless, whose parents have neglected them. The parents have given them everything money could buy. They have all the latest gadgets. But the contact with parents just isn't there. And you see our teenagers that are going to lessons for 6 o'clock in the morning, and then school at 8 o'clock or 8:30, and then after
then
school at
lessons again
3:30 is lessons
until 9
again,
at night.
and then a whole lot of stuff to write 20 subjects or 16 subjects. Don't know where it's taking them. Because with 5 subjects you could get into UG or anywhere else and become the doctor and the psychologist or the whatever. So it's very frustrating to watch all this while our kids suffer. There is no parent-child time. Because the children, they're up at 5 o'clock, they got to they're ready for lessons, and if they go to lessons late, they got to stand up in the lessons all till 8 o'clock when lessons is over or whatever. That's cruelty, as far as I'm concerned. To write 20 or 12 or 16 or 8 subjects, I didn't have 1 GC. Who could stop me now? You understand? That's not what it's all about.
Okay.
Your children don't need 19 subjects
You're
and
both
be
very
depressed.
passionate about this issue, and
Yes.
with good reason, I'm sure. We have just a few minutes. What are some? Let's take a look at that. The issue of wellness. What can I do if I am depressed? How can I become well again? Let me start with you, Vidya, and then I'll give you the last word.
There's so many different things. First of all, is understanding. I mean, wellness is always a journey, right? I mean, however we do, whatever we do for wellness. The thing that you talked about earlier about depression, you know, the mental health and the body, I think it's knowing to link both, and understanding, you know, that there's a link. You know, if you're not well in your body, it can also affect your mind. If you're not well in your mind, your body also becomes affected. So, you know, we are part of one. Reading up and understanding if there's something wrong with your health and so on, start taking signs of it. I think for men especially, a lot of us, we don't. You know, we push ourselves, we take risks, we do all sorts of crazy things, and this idea that weakness, that is not about strength, I think, in just accepting ourselves for who we are and working within that is really important. Looking at things like exercise and nutrition, removing things like alcohol, and so, you know, question smoking, alcohol, all those things now. What is that happening in your life? What role those things have in your life, and removing it. And I think also important for 2 ways is recognizing who your support networks are, because there's some people who are not going to, it's not looking for crutches or for people to, you know, to become codependent on or anything.
Right.
But there's
You
some
need
people,
some positive.
yeah,
You need
some
some
people who will help you. You know, like my best friends would completely ignore the fact that I am and treat me as though everything is okay, and that's also helpful for me at that time. Yeah, you're right. But you know, could you do it? You know, so there's a nice way. But not the ones who are going to tell you you're weak or something wrong, or what is it you're depressed about, and keep hammering. Or what is it you're depressed about? There's nothing to be, you know. So. Knowing, but reading, I mean, we all have access to internet and everything now. There's a lot of good stuff out there. There are wonderful documentaries about it, and seeking help, and knowing. I think a lot of us are knowing, and certainly talking about it and not being scared. You know, learning, talking about it, and seeking help when it's necessary. You know.
Thank you.
I think we should check out our medical or physical health conditions, because some of these illnesses are related and do cause depression, heart disease, cancer, HIV/AIDS, diabetes we talked about earlier. Those are things that often cause us to feel depressed. We don't even know that there's a medical condition to be concerned about. So I would ask people to check with a medical doctor quite often. And then I think there needs to be some psychotherapy. In the field of psychiatry, there are the drugs, the antidepressants that you can get to help you, or if you go to psychiatrists and they recommend that, if you come to a therapist such as I am, we would do psychotherapy, which could be in the form of either art therapy or the other activities like meditation and the cognitive behavior therapy, which I find wonderful and very easy to practice with people. And I've seen lots of good results, very effective. But those are some of the things that I would recommend, that people do seek some kind of psychotherapy if they can't help themselves. But you can help yourself by some of the things that Vidya was talking about earlier, that he does, that keeps his strength going. And avoid too much alcohol, because it just makes it worse. And drugs.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Harding, Mr. Kissoon. Thank you for your time. I'm sure that this program has been quite informative for our viewers. I'm sure that there are people out there now who have a greater awareness of what they can do, and certainly where they can go for help if they suspect that they or someone they know might be depressed. That is all the time we have this evening. Thanks again for coming on the program, and thank you for watching. This has been a production of Social Life Issues, and please join us again 2 weeks from today, same time, for another edition of Nipping It in the Bud.